What is good, YouTube? It's your boy, OG Nonboy, back with another video, and in today's video, I'm going to be taking my rank 1 Venusaur for a spin, and I'm going to be using it in the team of Venusaur, Sableye, and Galarian Stunfisk. And the Venusaur and Galarian Stunfisk core is a very common and strong core that's kind of renowned in the Open Great League, and they basically cover each other's weaknesses very well, and it's also a direct counter to the Swampert and Skarmory core, which is also another very renowned and strong core in the Open Great League. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into these matches here. First match, we have Venusaur into Walrein, and this isn't the greatest matchup for the Venusaur since they are able to outpace us to the Icicle Spear. So I'm going to go ahead and catch it on my Sableye, and this still isn't a winning matchup for the Sableye either, since they are able to outpace you to your moves. Like, you're not going to be able to get to your foul plays as fast as they are the Icicle Spears, but I'm hoping the opponent at some point swaps out, and they do here into their Nidoqueen, and this actually works out okay for us since our Venusaur is going to be able to get some use against this Nidoqueen here. So we're going to get off this Frenzy Plant, and they decide to shield, so I'm going to match the shield just in case it's an Earth Power, but it ends up being a Poison Fang bait. But this should be no problem since this next move is either going to take out the Nidoqueen or grab the last shield. So they're going to go ahead and let it go, and they actually bring in their Sableye, which is a pretty interesting choice since they could have outpaced us to the Icicle Spear, I believe, in that scenario. But they give up their last shield, and now we're in a pretty dominant position since our Galarian Stunfisk should be able to clean up this game pretty nicely. I shield the foul play since that's going to be doing the most damage between any move that I can shield. The Earthquake from the Walrein would technically do the most damage, but I'm keeping my farm, like I'm over farming in this scenario, so they won't be able to reach the Earthquake if they bring their Walrein back in. So at this point, the opponent's going to get off their last foul play, and I'm going to throw this Rock Slide. And this is going to barely not KO, but I swap into my Venusaur to snipe down the Walrein, and then we simul KO on the Sableye there, but I still had my Stunfisk in the back, so we win that match. Next match here, we have the Trevenant lead, and this isn't the greatest lead for us since the Shadow Claws are doing neutral damage, and the Venusaur would be only doing resisted Vine Whips. So we swap into our Sableye, which is our hard answer, and typically you don't want to do that, but because Sableye in this team is kind of run as the go-to safe swap, I'm going to go ahead and use that, and we're going to be able to flip switch here since the opponent doesn't shield the return, and they bring in their Trevenant in this scenario, which is pretty interesting since they're going to have to give up a shield here or take a lot of damage. And now I'm trying to read what's in the back possibly, since like if you bring in your Trevenant and have to shield the foul play there, then maybe what's in the back is weak to the Sableye, and they're staying in this matchup as well. So I'm pretty curious as to what's in the back. Like, it's probably weak to Galarian Stunfisk. So now I'm kind of second guessing my decision to bring in the Galarian Stunfisk here, and let's see what ends up being in the back. This Rock Slide should just about KO the Trevenant, and it's kind of not, but it's still in a manageable position since our Vine Whip should be able to take it out, and it ends up being a Bastion in the back. So kind of a misplay by me for going into the Galarian Stunfisk, but a lot of times you don't really know what your opponent's running, and calling the team wrong ends up costing you the match. So this is one of those scenarios where if I had a better read on my opponent's team, then this match should have been pretty straightforward, but GG's to the opponent there. Next match, we have the Venusaur into Swampert. So this is kind of the dream lead, and a lot of times, or basically 99% of the time, if you see a Swampert, you know there's a Skarmory somewhere. So they bring in a, what is this, the Scrafty, and this is kind of a rough spot for us since we want our Venusaur aligned against the Swampert, but we also don't have a good answer to this Scrafty here. So we're gonna have to stay in a little bit and at least grab some shields or chip this thing down. And they let this Vine Whip go, or Frenzy Plant go rather, and we're gonna swap into our Sableye here to catch the move, preserve some health on our Venusaur. And now they bring their Swampert back in, but our switch timers are very misaligned, so when I get out of here and I bring my Venusaur in, the Venusaur is going to be stuck against what I'm assuming is the Skarmory in the back, so I don't really want that. So I'm going to shield this move to kind of help realign our switch timers, since if they're throwing another move here, they're going to be burning time on the clock, and I'm also going to wait out the switch timer so that we can realign the clock. And it ends up being a Bastiodon in the back, which is arguably even better for our Galarian Stunfisk compared to the Skarmory. So at this point, it's basically a GG. Doesn't really matter that they shield there, since their flamethrowers aren't really going to be doing anything threatening to our Galarian Stunfisk here. And we're just going to be able to reach this Earthquake and take them out. And then the Swampert's going to come back in, but it's going to have a hard time, you know, reaching enough moves to take out our Galarian Stunfisk and our Venusaur. So GG's to the opponent. Next match here, I kind of get a freebie since this legend player is looking to tank some elo. So, you know, it's nice to get a little freebie here and there, since I did lose about 100 elo before like this set here trying out different teams. So next match we have the Hypno lead, and they swap into the Munchlax once we swap into our Sableye. So this is most likely the Vergiverg team, which I've also featured on my channel, so go ahead and check that out if you haven't. But I know that maintaining switch here is going to be very important, since we don't want our Galarian Stunfisk in the back to be aligned to their Scrafty and our Venusaur aligned to the Hypno, since the confusions from the Hypno are really going to chunk our Venusaur. So I'm going to invest the first shield on the Bulldoze there, just to make this matchup a little bit more comfortable. And like I suspected, there is a Scrafty in the back, so I'm going to build up to almost the return, and hopefully the opponent isn't really keeping too close of a track of my energy and they take me out, they farm me all the way down. So now the opponent actually has a lot of energy, and this could be pretty threatening, especially if I shield up a power-up punch, and they decide to swap into their Hypno. So now we're in a pretty solid position, since the Hypno can only do resisted damage with the fast move, and then the Ice Punch is going to be doing neutral damage, but it's non-stab and it's not a very strong move. So at this point, I'm going to attempt to farm this Hypno all the way down, since we don't want the Scrafty to get a farm on our Galarian Stunfisk and have even more energy for oh my god, I can't even speak, for our Venusaur. And we want to have the Earthquake ready to threaten the Scrafty here. So this will either get the final shield or put it very low. So now they're going to be in farm down range. So even if they beat here with the power up punch, like, we're going to be able to farm them all the way down. So yeah, overall, very strong core. Like, nobody really questions that. And if you have these Pokemon, definitely give the team a try, and you probably will be able to gain some elo with it. So that's all for today's video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and also submit your battles in the link in the description below, and I'll see you in the next one.